talk about resumes. So if anybody wants to go ahead and prep your resume, we're gonna turn that in after spring break. We'll talk about it when we get back. And then, for spring break, if we could just focus on the portfolio, getting your portfolio in. And then today I'm gonna focus on that outline, what you're turning in for your informative speech. So we're gonna see some sample outlines and listen to some, like, not whole presentations, because I know that gets a little boring. We're just gonna listen to like segments of different presentations, so you can hear like a solid intro, that sort of thing. Okay? Question?
So the important speech, is that supposed to be due March?
I'm gonna have your outline, works cited, and like all that stuff due before you, and your PowerPoint due before spring break. So all your paperwork will be done.
Oh.
But we won't speak till after we get back from spring break. Anybody going any place for spring break? Yeah, where y'all headed? Florida. Florida, I love Florida. My dad is from Florida, so we grew up going to Florida. Anybody else, where y'all going?
I think I'm going to Florida, and then I might head up to North Carolina and to see my uncle.
Nice.
So yeah, he bought a new cabin or something down there. So
Right, especially now, like seeing family is super important, post-COVID. Are we post-COVID?
No.
I mean,
No.
I haven't seen them in like 2-3 years now because of
Okay.
COVID. So
Okay. Well, I like the course to be front loaded so that when we get back from spring break, there's not a lot that we have to do, but that didn't necessarily work out this semester. So that we can still stay on track and get stuff done. Okay, before I get too far into the informal speech and organization, let me just go over the two things I want y'all to concentrate on. We've got 2 weeks till spring break. For me, that's the informative speech and the portfolio. If you could get, this is my last slide. I'm gonna start out on my last slide. Okay, on your portfolio, if you could focus on getting these things done. So I've uploaded some documents for you under that e-portfolio. So, but continue to work on your portfolio, but these are like the basic things I'm looking for, that you're setting up your profile. Did I show you guys my profile? No? Okay, I'll show you mine. Update your background image. Everybody gets a background image. Insert a professional image. Those of you guys who don't have a professional headshot, now is the time. How many of you guys are on LinkedIn? Yeah, y'all gotta get on LinkedIn. Can you tell me a little bit about is it okay if you talk a little bit about your LinkedIn page?
No.
How did you start it?
I'm just kidding. Yeah. As soon as I can log into it.
It's undercover.
What was I gonna say? With my LinkedIn page, I mean, shoot, I was just trying to get any like entry level job into like information systems, kind of like IT and stuff, and I was asking around like what's the best way to go about it, and setting up a profile on LinkedIn is actually pretty good. And the professional headshot I got was actually recommended by the lady who took my pictures for senior pics. She said like just like as a side, I was just like, yeah, I don't know why we got you here. It might be a good idea to go ahead and try to get you a professional picture, especially since like you're graduating. It's a good look for you if you're trying to like get into the business, you know, especially with like the field you're heading into.
It'll pay off.
Yeah, it'll bring in those like people who are searching out. So
Yeah, that's the reason I got a LinkedIn page too, was for networking, and it's been great for that so far, especially during COVID when they're not having as many mixers as, I'm a part of 2 professional organizations. And guys, I'm a firm
Enlist your work
believer in
history.
joining professional organizations while you're in college, because that's how I found my first job, was through a
you
professional
can see
organization.
here,
And
search
then my other
for
friend, who was a lawyer, they
your
graduated
about,
when
your
the
goal,
economy tanked, like 2008,
experience,
2009.
education,
And one of them used family connections to find a
licenses,
job, but one of them, she's first generation. And so basically she joined like a bunch of different professional organizations for young lawyers, and that's how she found her position. So for sure, think about getting a LinkedIn page. I've found some really good adjuncts for us, and they literally reached out to me on LinkedIn. So think about it. And I'm really glad that you have one. I think it's important to get one. Yeah. Okay, so essentially what you're gonna be doing is the same steps that you were seeing with your LinkedIn profile. And, for sure with your professional image, if you are, like my first one ever came from just a regular camera, just make sure your background is professional. The acting portfolios, they're creative. And then last semester I had a student that was doing interior design. And so their folders are much more design orientated, like they're just the theater people, their portfolios, first of all, actors never look like their headshots. I'm just gonna be honest with you. They never look as good as their headshot looks. So in education, a lot of times we'll take pictures in our offices or classrooms so just be aware of your environment when you're taking there's a geology professor who has a picture of himself on Teams, and it's from one of the national parks, I think Yellowstone. But every time he sends an email, his photo comes up and he has that Yellowstone background. So really think about, what that photo says about you. So, okay, so main goal is while you're not working on your informative, you're gonna turn in all your informative speech paperwork before we go home for spring break, which I had it due on that Friday, but you can take to that Sunday, but I just hate to eat into your spring break. So for the next 2 weeks, try to concentrate on getting that done. And then go ahead and start setting up your portfolio on Canvas. Basically, it says insert your professional image, add your tagline. I hate that they use the term tagline, but that's the actual term that you'll see on. Every time I see tagline, I think about some reality TV character, you know what I mean? So what they're really talking about is like, something like a professional statement, a job objective, stuff like that. And then I really do like the look of the e-portfolios on Canvas. There's a lot you can do with them. Okay, so here's the long checklist. So we'll get all this stuff done by the end of the semester. But for right now, it's just that short list that I showed you on PowerPoint. I thought I had uploaded an introduction. It tells you kind of how to write your intro. I'll have to tweak it.
Check out the tweak your face.
What else did I say?
So you can use the link on Canvas where it says folio for a project.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
You should be able to click it and start. Like I went to training to do it, but honestly, I could have played around with it, because it's really easy to use. Oh, here we go. Here's the sample intro statement. So where it says sample e-portfolio items. So my name is Tara. I moved to New York City because advertising is my passion, and this is the place to find an inspirational, innovative ad community. So it just basically gives you a couple of samples, and then it gives you some content, But everybody's statement will be different because everybody in here is going into a different field, different industry, and your intro statement. Like I worked for like 2 weeks on my teaching philosophy last month, just trying to revamp it, so it's actually reflective of me now. So everybody's intro statement will be different since it's reflective of y'all. Okay. And we can tweak it. It's like writing 3 thesis statements. You kind of have to get there. Okay, so you'll find those under ePortfolio, those documents. So, and then, let's see. The only thing I'm looking for. The only thing I'm looking for before spring break is that you have your portfolio set up, they updated your background image, professional image, and then add your tagline / introduction statement, okay? So, and I'll send you guys a notice on on Blackboard about it. Okay, questions about the portfolio?
Or it says start typing a category.
Uh-huh.
What do we? Never mind. It just pulled up. Just kidding.
Okay. Okay, let's take a look at some speeches first. I need to talk about organization, but I don't necessarily need to go through the whole PowerPoint to talk about organization. Let me get you guys to take a photo of or copy down 2 slides, and then I'll pop out and show you some examples, okay? Okay, does everybody remember this day? Remember this day, we talked about the outline? Okay, this is still the basis. I kind of want to talk about the body a little bit more today, like how you're going to organize your content, okay? It has to be, for your persuasive, the organization is really tight. Everybody has to use the same, like your main points will probably be problem, solution, benefits for everybody. For informative, since you guys are choosing all different topics, it's going to change up what goes into the body. So this is the slide. Let me get to it. Okay, this is the slide you guys need. This is how you're going to set up your main points, okay? So on the Wizard of Oz slide, we talked about what goes into an intro, what goes into a conclusion. But now these main points have to be set up a specific way. So somebody, let's talk about your topics for a second. Somebody let me borrow your topic. What are y'all talking about?
Economic sanctions.
Economic sanctions. Okay, for sure. So like there's a couple of ways I could set up a speech about economic sanctions. Like if I wanted to talk about 3 different countries that have all faced economic sanctions, right? Maybe one of them, I do it spatially. So I talk about China as a country, like they faced economic sanctions before for human rights violations. Then maybe I talk about another European country, and then I do, a Western or a, North America country. I'm using space to set up my 3 main points. And your book says you can have between 2 and 5 main points. I say 3 because 3 is the average, but realize you can have as many main points as you need, okay? If I wanted to cover 5 countries, right, and do it spatially, I could. If I wanted to use that same topic about sanctions and do it chronologically, I could. So like economic sanctions in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, chronological, see? So same topic, it just kind of depends on how you want to set it up. Somebody else give me another topic. Sorry, I put you on the spot. Someone else, tell me your topic.
Why people are like quitting their jobs.
Oh,
The
yeah.
job trend, I guess.
The great resignation, like what is going on? So, for sure, like you could do cause and effect, right? So like, here are some things that are potentially causing it, and here's the effect, these are the symptoms that we're seeing. For sure, you could do chronological, so you could look, even the last 3 years to look at like, how much it's increased, like the overall stats. Or I think topical would be really interesting. What is some info we want to know about the Great Resignation? Maybe what industries? I don't know. I see teacher talk all the time when these teachers are quitting, but I feel like since education is my industry, I look at it more. So, and I hear a lot about healthcare worker burnout.
Now,
So.
what we can do like the food industry, how they
Oh yeah, for sure. My favorite pizza place in Deep Ellum just shut down. They just couldn't make it. It's like Sofa King. It was right by Fair Park, And they were like, we just couldn't make it being closed, open, Yeah. Okay, so your main points can be chronological. Space is anytime you're using space to set up your main points. Topical is subtopics underneath. And then cause and effect, that one's easy. But like your main points do need to be organized a certain way. Like if you just have subtopics, like someone give me another topic. Another topic, what do y'all think about doing? Everybody have a topic?
I did mine on the business history of tobacco products.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, for sure that could be topical. For sure that could be topical. You know, like you could talk about like specific companies. You could talk about like overall. I always love those products that used to have something horrible in them, like Coke had cocaine in it, or people that smoke cigarettes we wouldn't smoke here, or so that. I mean, that would be really interesting. Someone else, give me a topic y'all are thinking about doing.
Psychological tactics in marketing.
Oh yeah, like all the tricky things they do to get us to buy. Yeah, and especially in the age of like social media, where like influencers, a lot of people make passive income off of getting people to buy products. Yeah, that's a good topic. Anybody else got a topic they want to run by me?
Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
I know, it's kind of crazy, right? I think it'd be really good. One thing that, not to talk bad about, us as Americans, but one thing I've noticed about our knowledge of history of other countries, sometimes it can be a little weak. So I told you guys about the student who gave a speech about Israel, and I had a student from Palestine. Did I tell y'all about that? I had a student who literally had gone to literally went on a vacation in Israel and came back, and she loved the country, had a really good time, and she gave a very pro-Israel speech. She had no idea about the history between Israel and Palestine, like just no clue about it.
Free Palestine.
And so
Nice.
my student who was Palestinian is like shaking in the back, raging, okay, the whole time she's up there speaking. But, she just hadn't been, you can visit a country without being knowledgeable of its history or cultures or stuff like that. Like even me, I have a lot of friends that are from Kenya, but they're from they're Kikuyu, and I didn't realize how much of my political knowledge was colored by only knowing one ethnic group from one. You see what I mean? And then when I visited there and realized, whoa, I didn't realize how biased some of my knowledge was, So, because I only knew like one or two people from that culture. So I think that would be a really good speech topic, especially because I feel like there's a lot, like when Putin was talking, if y'all have listened to any of his speeches when they've been, I'm not sure, sometimes I find him hard to listen to. Do y'all? Sometimes I find him he's so staccato, but he really does not feel like Ukraine is a legitimate country, and they had a lot of historical reasons for why he believes that way, So I can't wait to hear your perspective on it. So what are y'all thinking? Are y'all watching it or are y'all over it?
I have to watch.
Watching it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Reaper and all that, hearing those stories, like, damn. I'm just saying, I'm surprised about Ukraine, to be honest. I was not suspecting that.
Yeah.
Like them actually, like especially Russia. I was like,
You know what pisses
I thought
me
it would
off,
take
though?
it a day.
It pisses me off, like on the news, they say, I can't believe this is happening in Europe. Oh my God, so Europe, so organized, so advanced. Like it should be happening in the Middle East and Africa. Like, it pisses me really. Like,
Well,
I think it
and
shows
the
what we know.
coverage, too, has been
Which is nothing.
very
Yeah.
different.
American
I feel
just-
like depending on
Because
what
we're all the way on
what
this
news
end. We have
coverage
no
you're
idea.
watching. Yeah. So to me, it's always interesting when you watch like international news, like BBC or Al Jazeera or one of those, because a lot of times they'll have a different take on. Like during our election cycles, I always watch international news because they have a very different take on what's happening here or abroad. So yeah.
There's a lot I can't talk about. As
So,
an
but
armed service
I'm not sure
member.
if you guys have older
so I can
adults that
only
lived through the
talk
Cold
about
War,
what's
1970s,
public.
no. But there's one of our faculty members who did, and they were talking about how they feel like this is the 1970s again with the Cold War and us in Russia, that sort of thing. 70s and early 80s, Okay, guys, so this is an important slide when it comes to your main points. Don't forget in your introduction, so many people skip, sorry. I forget about this. Y'all know I love Kanye. These are my audience analysis examples.
Kanye West.
Did you watch this documentary?
I only watched part of it. I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch all of it, but I love his documentary.
Yeah, it's really good.
I feel like you
It's
can
good?
tell when.
It's really good.
What do you like about it?
Because it basically explains why he did it, how he did it today.
Mhm.
Like, if you watch everything, it kind of makes sense of why he has it right now.
It kind of explains his really big ego too.
Yeah, and like it shows you like the foundation he was like raised upon, like his morals, like his mom taught him as a kid, and that he actually still uses, but he just expresses it in a different way.
I like his ego.
You like his ego?
I feel like everyone should have a certain amount of ego in their life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's one of those people that actually put in the work behind his ego. You know, he's not just one of those people that just all part. You know, he's actually doing something for like saying it.
I always like, there's like been a couple of key times in his career they talk. I've only seen the first one. I can't wait till they talk about the second one. But you know, like, if, you know, Jay-Z doubted him as a rapper. He looked at him more as a writer,
Yeah,
you know, producer. And then like when he started his fashion line, like literally my stepdaughter goes to Lake Ridge and she's so bougie. She had to have like, some tennis she dropped over the weekend or whatever, and then she picked up a new pair of Yeezys or whatever. But people like laughed at him when he started the fashion line, you know, didn't do anything, and now it's his major revenue.
Yeah, what was really crazy was when he was performing his music at Rockefeller, like they did not even listen at all. They would make eye contact with him while he's playing his music. And there's like some classics that are like that everyone loves to
Ever now.
All falls down when he was talking about. That sounds kind of like a bad choice to the lady in particular, just because he was talking about a black woman and she was a black woman, so she was kind of like talking down
Down, yeah,
to a black woman trying to promote the music. So maybe that was just like a
bad choice.
yeah for that particular song, but
Right,
it kind of showed like everybody was just downing him. So I get his ego. Makes sense.
yeah, for sure. You could definitely do a speech about, you know, any aspect of the music industry and how it works, you know. Okay, I was looking for introductions. Where did we go? Talked about that. Guys, we talked about this stuff. We just did it when the day we did the outline. Let me go back through. Make sure for your employees you got a strong introduction. So like a lot of you guys started out your first speech with like, hi, my name is, or I did my presentation over. And we talked about using an AGD for this next one. So make sure when you're doing your research, you're looking for attention getters. So everybody needs to have a hook. Some of this stuff we don't do, so like established qualifications, we're gonna wait and do that for the persuasive, like why you guys are content experts. Main thing, you wanna introduce your thesis and have a preview of your presentation, and then always capture your listener's attention. So what were some of the ways that we talked about you could start your presentation? Give me some examples of AGDs, attention getters.
A question.
Definitely using a question, a rhetorical question.
Using a YouTube video.
YouTube video, sound clips, Let's take a look at some, these are outlines, guys. I'm not showing you these outlines because they're perfect. I just want to show them to you because, each one of them has something unique.
How
and then
honest
we'll
you
watch
won't
it
bring
on the
Stephen
speech.
Heat to your presentation.
This is the one, I told you
You
guys about
actually
this
do.
outline. This is the breathalyzer outline. So this is a good reason why I don't care about the length of your outlines too, because this was a summer class and the class was much smaller. So this was a 10-minute speech and this was her outline. So like, and I've had people who had an outline like this and could barely speak for 30 seconds, you know? So the length of your outline doesn't matter as much as the content of your speech.
So we're gonna turn the outline over before spring break.
Yes, this is, you're gonna, I'm
And then
sorry,
after spring break, we do like the speeches and whatnot.
you got it.
Okay.
So definitely over spring break, if you have any time, which, you know, relax totally. But if you have any time, practice your delivery.
When is spring break?
Spring break is March 14th. We've got 2 weeks.
I say we start next week.
Okay,
I'm
guys,
starting
notice
next
the
week.
top part, this is her pre-planning section. We went through that. She just used to inform my audience and to explain to my audience. Remember, these are your goals at the end of your speech. They do not have to match your main points, okay? Look at her thesis statement. Breathalyzers are simple to use. However, their accuracy very much depends on the equipment and proper administration of the test. Okay, what does she use for an AGD?
A statistic.
For sure, she uses a statistic. I don't know if it's the strongest statistic in the world, right? But she does use a statistic. And then she gives really good information on, what that breathalyzers do. Her transition is decent. When purchasing, determine what will be required to maintain the instrument. She probably should include some content from here. So, after understanding PBTs, now we can talk about purchasing or something. So what are her main points? So the second main point, like as far as organizational wise, those different organizational categories we just looked at. So her first main point is about the equipment. Second main point is about maintaining. And then the third one is about like wise tales that don't really work. So what's her organizational? Is it chronological? Is it spatial? Is it topical? Is it cause and effect?
Topical.
Topical. It's topical, yeah. Most people find formulas do topical because they're just doing subtopics underneath. So my favorite part about this speech was main point 3 when she had one breathalyzer but different, blowers. And so she gave 3 people mints, gum, mouthwash, and then she had everybody body blow to see if there were any changes. So there's her conclusion, and this is probably MLA 7, so it's not right for you guys now, but at the time it would have been. She does need to do a hanging indent. So many people don't know how to do a hanging indent.
I just kind of cheated.
Then, so, and then if you do this, it'll do the rest of them. Right? So make sure they're alphabetized, your words cited, just some basic MLA stuff. You alphabetize them, hanging indent, that sort of thing. Okay, questions about the outline? Questions?
How many, we need 5 works cited?
5 total, 3 need to be from the databases. I don't know, usually I do 5. I'm feeling like I'm getting too easy in my old age. Because I'm letting my early college, high school students just do 3,
Let's do 4 now.
We'll go 3, but they have to all be from the databases. Cool? You can have as much .com as you want, but it won't count for the 3 you're required to have. Okay, and then like this, I showed you guys some of my favorite databases before, but I do want to do one topic search with one of your topics today too. Okay guys, this one is, okay, this is a good example of a personal example. Let's see, it's the dangers of credit cards. You can use yourself, if you've got a connection to your topic, you can definitely use yourself as part of your AGD or even an example inside your body, okay? So, but essentially, like this student, like I literally, he was in his introduction and conclusion, I can literally hear violins. I feel so bad for him. And he was like working like a dog. He would come into class like right before class, would start, and he'd be running out. He worked at like Amazon or like a warehouse or something. And it was because of this topic he had gotten the credit card debt. So to me, what makes this speech are the strong statistics. Like he could tell you like about himself, but the statistics he lays out makes it clear that it's a systemic problem. Okay. So when I first left for college, I expected to find a whole new world of freedom. I found I could do many things on my own without my parents looking over my shoulder. By the end of my freshman year, I was over $5,000 in debt with no job and no way of supporting my minimum payments. In fact, 81% of college students have a credit card by the end of their sophomore year. These companies are specifically targeting college students because they know unresponsible kids with plastic are a $13 billion a year industry. So to me, it's like he takes his personal examples and then layers in those stats. And to me, it just makes for a stronger argument, you know? So, but essentially, he talks about some of the tricks the credit card companies were using. His research is dated for sure.
Is this persuasive or?
This is persuasive.
That was one thing I wanted to make mention too. It's almost dangerously getting close to like saying why.
So, yeah.
It's I think walking a thin line between like informing like the dangers of credit cards and then almost maybe like why you shouldn't like get credit cards.
It's persuasive.
And guys, the early Greeks, and I'm talking about like Aristotle, Plato, and them, like they didn't make any difference between informative and persuasive speaking. They thought anytime you were speaking, it was persuasive. So we didn't make that delineation until much later on, like I'm talking 1700s type stuff. And so, like that fine line, as long as you don't tell your audience, like you could get up all day and talk about how great Kanye is and dissect his career, but if as long as they don't tell us to go out and buy an album or buy a pair of Yeezys, it's important. Okay, guys, for me,
Get a
like
orange.
having a good concluding
Get a stick.
statement can make a speech, okay? So I love his concluding statement. So he's like, I know where I messed up now, but it's too late for me. I get to wake up to creditors calling, trying to collect money I don't have. This is all a frustrating cycle that's incredibly hard to get out of. The most effective way of dealing with this issue has shown to be educating these students about what they are going to encounter. Then they'll be able to get out of school and work for the future, not to catch up with the past. And so it's just a nice statement to end the speech on. America's drinking problem. I just like her topic. She's talking about soda. Like you would think she's talking about like alcohol, but she's talking about our soda consumption. She's got some great stats talking about how like our grandparents drank soda versus like how my generation. And I feel like for y'all's age, I feel like you guys have cut it back down, right? I mean, how much soda do y'all consume?
One a day.
One a day.
Actually, a lot more than
Oh,
I
it's
used
diet.
to.
It's diet.
I don't drink
Oh,
that
it's
much.
diet. They said there's more
99%.
chemicals in the diet.
Yeah, but it's the sugar that matters.
True.
I like the
I think it's a
carbonation.
transition, though. People don't drink soda as much, they drink energy drinks.
Energy drinks,
Yeah,
that's
true.
true, and coffee, and yeah,
They mix them if anything too.
true.
Which is arguably worse for you.
Yeah.
The energy
probably
drinks.
is.
Mixing, like,
It's
energy
extremely
drinks, so I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
It just seems like I drank one like and got a headache and then I never touched it again, you know? It's just weird. It's just weird.
5 hour
Even coffee
is like if you're-
It gives you anxiety and a slight depression.
Yeah.
Based on studies.
True, I believe that caffeine. So, but she talks about like our soda consumption, how it's an issue. So I don't know. This is a good topic. Is a good example. Do y'all have like soapbox issues with your friends? You know, like things you try to get the people that you care about to do or not do. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, give me an example.
Parents smoke. Like
Oh,
damn
yeah.
chimneys.
Hey, I had smoking parents
Name the
too.
last time you've seen
And
smoking
to
chimney.
think about the crap my parents got away with, my dad would smoke in the car with the windows rolled up.
No. Like cigarettes, just regular
nobody would do
cigarettes.
that now, you know? That's a good example. Somebody else got a soapbox issue.
That's interesting. I never heard the term soapbox.
You've never heard
It
that.
comes from the early 1900s where like, you know, the suffragettes and like they would stand on a corner and preachers like literally on a soapbox and
Oh.
That's what people want to say when they get off my soapbox.
so, but essentially when we talk about these issues, this was something that she, you know, was always on her family about, like drinking sodas. And then she just used it for a speech topic. So sometimes it can be that easy, you know? So I'm always on my family about recycling correctly. You know, like they won't rinse out the bottle or, you know? So sometimes they'll do it. So I'm not sure if it's a good speech topic.
How come?
I don't know, people, like, I feel like you have to come up with some sort of novel way, because like, a lot of people don't recycle, and I think it's because we hear the same messages, you know? Okay, this was the speech about tequila. I know I told y'all about this one. And this student did a really good job, and I thought the speech was gonna be so silly. They turned out, Jeff was a bartender, and so he had a bunch of bottles, and then, at least I hope that's where he got those bottles from.
Rub,
So,
rub.
this is a good example, like, it's business, but it's not necessarily business. We just kind of wanted to talk about an industry. And so, the best part of it for me is May point 2, where he talked about like, these are the different types, you know? I knew nothing really about tequila before this speech. And so it was great for him to kind of, you know, like, and he was mentioning all these brands during his speech. That's why everything on your outline doesn't have to be, like, you can say more than what's on your outline. So like in this section, he was talking about like, don't get Jose Cuervo because they put coloring in it. Look for boom, 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 you know? And so he was like mentioning, you know, specific brands and stuff. So it was interesting.
Is he
But
talking?
everybody thought he was drinking. When he popped open for his AGB, when he popped the bottle and poured himself some, everybody thought he was drinking. Like, I think someone in class was like, can I have some? Like, you know, and they were so disappointed when he got to the end and, you know, he told them it was just water. I was like, aw.
That's a smart way to drink during class, though.
No. Okay, this is the last one I want to show you guys. It's, she went to Budapest on a student, I think a stay abroad. And so she basically just talked about the country. She knew a little bit of the Hungarian language. She said good morning. And then she does a topical arrangement where it's literally just history, way of life, and then her last main point is like, you know, some of the neat things she saw while she was there. And then there's her work cited. Did it help to see some outlines, or do y'all feel like y'all can do the outline? Okay. Main thing next is your sources and stuff. Let me show you, take one or two of your topics and actually type them in together and see what we find. Let's watch some examples. Okay, guys, I'm going to show you this speech about coffee. This is a read speech, but it's like good reading, so I don't mind it. Like, she has good energy, but it's still. This to me is what killed me over COVID. Like, watching speeches to me is so much better than like watching videos. So this speech, the organization is really good, really good. So you're going to see her do this thing called motivated movement, where each section of her speech she delivers in a different spot. Okay, we're just going to watch those two. That's how to be a hipster speech is done too.
How to be a hipster.
Yes. Okay, let's take a minute. We're going to do the one about coffee first.
Introducing the world's most inclusive fashion brand. It's way in pop culture as well. You did it! Congratulations! World's best cup of coffee. Great job, everyone. We love it. We drink it. We can't seem to live without it, and it's even made its way into pop culture as well. Coffee is known as the morning necessity that some can't even function without. Perhaps for you, it is the go-to afternoon pick-me-up, the regular old cup of joe, or even the overglorified, you know what it is, salted caramel, 2-up espresso, extra non-fat with whip frappuccino. You see, many of us have developed quite the infatuation with this popular drink. Do we realize how much of it we are actually consuming? According to an article published by the Public Broadcasting Station in 2013, food writer Tori Avey claims that an estimated 2.25 billion.
Yes, that was a verbal citation. You're going to have those in your informative speech. We have not talked about them yet, but I'm going to show you some tricks to how to write them. There's this book called They Say, I Say. It's a total hack job for academic writing. Like, if y'all know the book I'm talking about, have y'all heard about it? No. It's called They Say, I Say. I started using this, and it's basically a bunch of stem sentences that make your writing sound very jargonistic. Like, you know, like Like, they're stem sentences, like Mad Libs almost, but like you'll put your information into them and it'll just sound so eloquent. I started getting all these compliments on my writing in grad school when I started using these stem sentences. So, but the book is called They Say, I Say. I'll run some PDFs off this afternoon in my office and post it on our Canvas, okay? So, but pay attention to the oral citations.
Cups of coffee are consumed daily. Additionally, the T.H. Chan School of Public Health at Harvard University states that as of 2010, 54% of Americans over the age of 18 drink coffee daily, and that the U.S. spends approximately $40 billion on coffee per year. So why is it that coffee is such an important part of so many individuals' lives? Coffee has been a global phenomenon in both past and present cultures because of the history of its origin, popularity of the coffee house, and the multiple health benefits that come along with drinking this popular caffeinated beverage. I'm an avid coffee drinker myself. I've been drinking coffee for quite some time now and have probably spent a little too much money at Starbucks and other coffee establishments with the genius invention of the golden card. Coffee is an integral part of my life, so today we're going to talk a little bit about the three main things that really influence coffee and being so important among many. First, the history of its origin. Secondly, the popularity of coffee houses. And third, the health benefits that come along with this popular caffeinated beverage. So whether you enjoy.
I'm gonna stop her there. That was her introduction. What do y'all think about her delivery? Good, good. Not too fast for y'all? No. For me, I feel like her energy is good, which kind of makes it interesting. And then the stats that's just layering in about how much we're actually drinking, you know, is kind of interesting.
When it comes to the stats, like saying it, do you have to memorize it or?
Usually I always, like, one of the first textbooks I taught about said you should round statistics, and I do think you should. It just makes it easier, you know, if you just round them on your notes. And anybody who ever calls you out about a stat, like, that's why we have works cited pages.
It's good to like, you don't want us to read it from it like in our presentation.
Right, try to talk to us. Yeah, try to talk to us.
Wayfair has everything I need to make my home totally me.
Okay, so basically in this speech, she's talking about how love is a drug. I
Technically
believe
it
her.
is.
As Kesha once said, your love, your love, your love is my drug. Surprisingly, these lyrics are accurate considering the similarities that happen in our brain when we fall in love and when we use drugs. According to Dr. Steve Stassi, in October of 2013, everyone here is designed to crave love and affection. So this applies to every single one of you. So after doing weeks of research, I am here to inform you all of the chemistry behind falling in love. I will begin by explaining what love is. Then I will talk about the chemicals that are released during a short-term relationship, and I will end on what chemicals are released during a long-term relationship. So first, what is love? According to Webster Dictionary, love is a feeling of strong or constant.
Okay, this may be a pet peeve, and y'all so got that teacher, but Webster's Dictionary, that is not college level. That may help you do your, high school homework project. But like, pick up like if she's gonna use a dictionary for one of her sources, which, is kind of, easy. At least pick up an Oxford or something like that.
Attraction or a person. When we think of love, we think of it as more of a recreational activity. We come home from a long day at work and we see our significant other, and it's kind of a fun, lighthearted thing. However, we are biologically designed to fall in love in order to reproduce. This allows our species to grow and evolve for hundreds of years to come. We can also fall in love subconsciously. You might not even know that it's happening, but it is. There are small muscular twitches that go on in your face when you're communicating with someone, and you can be attracted to that. Also, there's something called the human eukaryotic antigen, which is just a fancy way of saying how you smell. You can smell somebody, and subconsciously, you are being attracted to that. So, according to Dr. Zeppi in November of 2006, we often confuse the feelings of lust and love. Lust is a very temporary feeling, solely based on physical attraction. These are the chemicals that are released in your brain, and they are very temporary. This isn't to say that lust can't turn into love, but it is definitely not the same feeling. So now that I've explained what love is, I will talk about the chemicals that are released during a short-term relationship.
Okay, I'm gonna stop her there. We just saw her intro and like her first main point. So, you're hearing her do verbal citations. So her verbal citations are pretty good. They're smooth. Make sure you paraphrase them or you won't sound like yourself. You see what I mean? If you're gonna, I feel like it helps the fluency of your speech if they're paraphrased.
How long did you say the speech had to be?
It's supposed to be 5 to 7, but I'm thinking like we're a fairly large class, so maybe 4 to 6. So something in that range. I won't be mad at you if you go 5 to 7. Okay, let me take her down.
You won't be mad, but will you take off points if you go?
The footwork transition that she does, is that a good thing or is that, it seems like too dramatic.
Dramatic. You don't have to do it, but it's a good speech for me to kind of show you guys like the information. So that you all don't have to do
Because like when I watch presentations, like they're like drastically while they're speaking, they walk like around. Yeah, but hers is like she stops speaking and then walks to one spot
She
and
walks
then
on that
starts.
transition. Yeah. It's called motivated movement. They do it in speech and debate, it's to point out the organization of the speech. But you don't see that in
It's
corporate
because they're getting
America.
like rated
So.
on it. They have to show their judge.
Okay, I just wanted to show you guys a couple
Each point.
speeches.
I feel like it could.
let's see.
I feel like I'm establishing dominance that way. Like, okay, now we're moving over here.
Here.
Eyes on me, eyes on me. Oh, you're good.
Oh, it's over.
Okay, let's stop there. Let me open up the databases and let's see if we can search together. I know you guys are going to be doing this by yourself this week, and some of you guys are probably great at the databases, and all this is old stuff to you guys. But there's somebody in here who may be using the databases for the first time, so I want to do 1 or 2 class examples with everybody so that we're kind of all on the same page. I am really good at MLA citing, so if you have any questions, let me know. But, there's so many resources and tools out there. I don't want to tell you guys stuff you have already, that you already know.
Are you okay if we use Al Purdue to cite our sources MLA style?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I love Al Purdue. That's kind of like the go-to website. They use it in all the English classes. I actually use it when I'm writing, too. I really like it. For me, the examples are really good. So you can type different questions in here, look up different examples. So.
Do we have to use the TCC data library base, or can we use any reliable article database?
You can use any databases. So like someone in here I know has connections at UTA. You want to use their databases, it's fine. It's fine. Let's see.
But it's not good enough for you?
Oh, it's terrible. I hate it with a passion. That's why I ask.
We're just really limited.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Someone, let me borrow your topic. Someone that hasn't told me their topic yet. Berkeley, no topic? No, not yet. Clay, what's your topic?
I'm doing the NFL with the weed. About they're finally letting players smoke a certain amount for like pain and medical reasons.
Okay, deal.
they finally pulled.
So, I don't know, we have to go through each one of these articles to see. I chose ProQuest because ProQuest is the most like Google, guys. If you're just gonna Google it, try ProQuest out, okay? Make sure to sign in. That's one thing I didn't do on our library homepage. Make sure to sign in or else for sure you're gonna have problems finding information. Also, like, I know certain databases. I try to show you guys the multi-subject databases. What are some of y'all's favorites? I just pulled up ProQuest. Do y'all have other favorites?
I like Gale.
And there's like, I'm gonna put Gale to the Times. I think there's like 4 of them, 5 of them, but there's a couple different Gales. I really like Gale too. EBSCOhost is a huge one. Sometimes they call EBSCOhost Academic Search Premier.
I like ProQuest.
But these are like some of my favorites. Okay, like I have a student who's doing a healthcare topic. She's doing like the healthcare worker burnout rates, you know? And so for her, she was like, I don't know what database to use. We did Sentinel, right? Because I know Sentinel is a medical database. But if you didn't know that, that's okay. Do databases by subject and you can browse them by subject. So if I'm doing an art and I want to do Basquiat, it'll tell me all the art databases, okay? So let's just do some of these topics. I looked at ProQuest. ProQuest is good. It'll let you click on the title. Weed per pot, is that what that said? So obviously it's got a news clip you can use, or this is a news clip. Let me see, I'm just gonna do.
Snoop Dogg.
I have a life to live. That to me sounds like an AGD right there. You know, you can talk about this player, right? So cite it, click cite, make sure to go down to MLA. MLA is in the 9th edition, so I'm thinking this is talking about punctuation. Let me check. Okay. See how like all this is, it has the right capitalization. It used to be where those capitalizations weren't correct. You'd have to go in and fix that. Make sure if it gives you that weird by, sometimes it puts a BY, like from the byline, you know, in here. Make sure to take that off, okay? But we've got your article and your site right here for your works cited, right? All you have to do is Control V.
Make Control C, then Control V.
Okay, let me talk about, or do one more in Gale. See, like, look at all the, see, I knew there was a ton of them. Look at all the Gales. There's Gale biography. Anybody doing a person? Like, oh, for sure, if y'all end up if you do Kanye, for sure.
Stephen.
If you, there's
That's
environmental studies, global issues, opposing viewpoints, science, US history, world history. If some of you guys still haven't found topics, Gale is where you want to go for real. Each one of those Gales has like where you can browse different topics, different databases. Let me see. Go to- I'm gonna go to global issues. Title list. Maybe not. Browse issues. Here we go. I think I saw Ukraine, Russia, Ukraine right there. Your speech should write itself with all these sources. Right? Anybody else have a topic that you want me to type in just to see if there's any info on it?
History of tobacco products.
Okay, deal.
Please.
Let's see. I'm gonna go to EBSCO for that one.
Where'd you go, EBSCO?
Uh-huh. Ooh, history of tobacco advertising. That sounds interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to dig. Let me see if there's any ebooks. Russian book reviews. kind of interesting, minorities in advertising campaign against tobacco products of Indian images. Tobacco regulation in the United States. I know, it has a bunch on here. I do like they give you the option for PDF. PDF to me always looks better. Always looks better. And then same thing, you gotta know your icons on this one. This is the cite button. And so one of the great things about databases, if you know TCCs or UTAs or any of the others, it's the same thing, you know, at other universities. They just look a bit different. So essentially, you're going to be working on your informative speeches from here on out, and you're going to be working on pulling your portfolio together. And so I'm going to update, I'm going to grade your tests today. Did everybody have time to take your exam online? Okay.
Yeah.
And then you guys mentioned a question. I'll go back through and look at the questions while I'm grading them later today. And thank you guys for getting that done. I'm not sure how your environments are. Snow day for me was pretty quiet, so I had an opportunity to get some stuff done. So, but I appreciate you doing that so that we can kind of keep things moving in the course. So, okay, questions, comments?
So we just need to work on our outline and our portfolio.
Outline portfolio and that works cited. And then for sure your PowerPoint too, for your informative need a PowerPoint or some sort of presentational software. It can be Prezi, Emaze is another one that I like, Canva. We're ending just a little bit early, but I'll be here in case anybody wants to talk about their speeches. Let me check roll real quick. Where's my rosters? Today is March 1st. Brenda, Nathan.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gabriel, Alexander,
Here.
Alexa, T. Sorry. Caden. Great. James, Gadari, Ari. Aria. Got it. Abraham. You're great. Melina. Melina's not here. She's always here. Alan. Jared. Cassie.
Alan Walker.
Here. Okay. Ariana. Jasmine. Clayton's here. Dewey is here. And Kevin is here. Okay, I'll see you guys on Thursday. Thursday, we're gonna watch some speeches. I'm gonna bring some snacks, and then I'm gonna show you one or two portfolios.
Did you call me?
I told him I must have skipped you, but I didn't mark you. I knew you were here.
So portfolio is due tomorrow then, because it says Wednesday, March 2nd.
The what?
The portfolio is due tomorrow because it says it's due Wednesday, March 2nd.
The everyday.
Should definitely start working on that then.
Just look at what that is, but then don't try to explode it too. See what I mean? See what I mean? It's just one sound a little bit persuasive and one is like, you know.
Are you having a good time?
Information to what you do.
Are you having a good time?
Okay.
Perhaps. I actually made it on time to class.